Hello, thank you for tuning in. You are tuned in to The Encourager, and my name is Nehru. Thank you to all of our subscribers and new listeners, returning listeners. Going to go ahead and get going today on the first book or the first gospel of the Infancy of Jesus. And again, this is one of the many books, hundreds of books, that were removed or not added to the book we know today as the Bible. Okay? So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you are enjoying the book of Enoch and now this book of the first gospel of the infancy of Yeshua. So let's get started again. Chapter 11. Another woman in that city, and Yeshua's healing people. So let's, as a recap. So Yeshua's still an infant, maybe a toddler at this point. I think a toddler, because they were in one city for 3 years. So you figure 3-4 years. So yeah, so he's in that range, age at this time in chapter 11. But people are being healed from the cloths that he was swaddled in. They are being healed through his bath water. He told his mother, Saint Mary, that he is the Son of God. He told her that when he was an infant. He literally spoke to Saint Mary, his mother, and told her that, okay? One of the other things, again, just as a reminder, Joseph and Mary were not married. They were betrothed. So they were engaged to be married. They were not married, so therefore she was a virgin. This is how the Virgin Mary came to be, right? I recall being told that her and Joseph were married, which did not make sense to me as an adult. And so I did my own due diligence and come to find out, yes, they were engaged. They were not married. And so there was no marriage to be consummated. He honored her. She honored him, right? And they were waiting until such a time. But first, she had to give birth to the Son of Man. Okay. So, another woman in the city that had and I just like the Son of God for better. I know he's referred to as the Son of Man or Ancient of Days. I like that too. Another woman in the city had likewise two sons sick. I'm sorry. My mind is really on the super high vibration right now that's going on with my crown chakra. So I'll continue. And when one was dead, the other who lay at the point of death, she took in her arms to the Lady Saint Mary, and in a flood of tears addressed herself to her, saying, O my Lady, help me and relieve me, for I had 2 sons, the one I have just now buried, the other I see is just at the point of death. Beloved, how I, earnestly seek favor from God and pray to him. Then she said, O Lord, thou art gracious and merciful and kind. Thou hast given me 2 sons. One of them thou hast taken to thyself. O spare me this other. Saint Mary then, perceiving the greatness of her sorrow, pitied her and said, Do thou place thy son in my son's bed and cover him with his clothes. So, take your child, place him in my son's bassinet, okay, in his crib, covering him with my son's blankets. Okay. And when she had placed him in the bed wherein Christ lay, at the moment when his eyes were just closed by death, as soon as ever the smell of the garments of the Lord Jesus Christ reached the boy, his eyes were opened, and, calling with a loud voice to his mother, he asked for bread. So he was quickened again. And when he had received it, he says he sucked it. Then his mother said, "O Lady Mary, now I am assured that the powers of God do dwell in you, so that thy son can cure children who are of the same sort as himself." So an infant, right? As soon as they touch his garments. This boy was thus cured, is the same who is in the gospel is called Bartholomew. Okay, so that's who Yeshua as a toddler healed, was Bartholomew. Okay. Chapter 12. Again, there is a leprous woman who went to the Lady St. Mary, the mother of Jesus, and said, "O my lady, help me." St. Mary replied, "What help dost thou desire? Is it gold or silver, or thy body be cured of its leprosy? Who," says the woman, "can grant me this?" St. Mary replied to her, "Wait a little till I have washed my son Jesus and put him to bed." The woman waited as she was commanded, and Mary, when she had put Jesus in bed, giving her the water with which she had washed his body, said, "Take some water and pour it upon thy body." Which when she had, she instantly became clean and praised God and gave thanks to him. Then she went her way after she had abode with her 3 days. And going into the city, she saw a certain prince who had married another prince's daughter. And when he came to see her, he perceived between her eyes the signs of leprosy like a star, and thereupon declared marriage dissolved and void. When the woman saw the person in this condition, exceedingly sorrowful and shedding abundance of tears, she inquired of them the reason of their crying. They replied, "Inquire not into our circumstances, for we are not able to declare our misfortunes to any person whatsoever." But still she pressed and desired them to communicate their case to her. Intimating, I'm not sure if what that word means, that perhaps she might be able to direct them to a remedy. So when they showed the young woman to her the signs of the leprosy which appears between her eyes, she said, "I also, whom ye see in this place, was afflicted with the same distemper. And going on some business to Bethlehem, I went to a certain cave, and saw a woman, Mary, who had a son called Jesus. She, seeing me to be leprous and concerned for me, she gave me some water, which she had washed with her son's body, or washed her son's body with, and sprinkled it upon my body, and became clean. Then said these women, "Will you, mistress, go along with us and show us the Lady St. Mary to us?" To which she consented. They arose and went to the Lady St. Mary, with them very noble present, taking with them very noble presents. Okay. And when they came in and offered their presents to her, they showed the leprous young woman what they brought with them to her. Then said St. Mary, "The mercy of the Lord Jesus Christ rest upon you." And giving them a little of the water with which she had washed the body of Jesus Christ, she bade them wash the diseased person with it, which when they had done, she was perfectly cured. So they and all who were present praised God, and being filled with joy, they went back to their own city and gave praise to God on that account. Then the prince, hearing that his wife was cured, took her home and made a second marriage, giving thanks unto God for the recovery of his wife's health. Chapter 13. There was also a girl who was afflicted by Satan, for that cursed spirit did frequently appear to her in the shape of a dragon, and was inclined to swallow her up, and had so sucked out all of her blood, and she looked like a dead carcass. Verse 3, as often as she came to herself, with her hands ringed around her head, she also would cry out and say, Woe, woe is me, that there is no one to be found who can deliver me from the impious dragon. Her father and mother and all who were about her and saw her mourned and wept over her. And all who were present would especially be under sorrow and in tears when they heard her bewailing and saying, My brethren and friends, is there no one who can deliver me from this murderer? Then the prince's daughter, who had been cured of her leprosy, hearing the complaint of the girl, went upon the top of her castle and saw her with her hands twisted about her head, pouring out a flood of tears, and all the people that were about her in sorrow. Then she asked the husband of the oppressed person whether his wife's mother was alive. He told her that her father and mother were both alive. Then she ordered her mother to be sent to her, to whom when she saw her coming, she said, Is this possessed girl thy daughter? She moaning and bewailing said, Yes, madam, I bore her. The prince's daughter answered, Disclose the secret of her case to me, for I confess to you that I was leprous. But the Lady Mary, the mother of Jesus, healed me. And if you desire your daughter to be restored to her former state, take her to Bethlehem and inquire for Mary, the mother of Jesus, and doubt not, your daughter will be cured, for I do not question, but will come home with great joy at your daughter's recovery. As soon as ever she had done speaking, she arose and went with her daughter to the place appointed, and to Mary, and to hold her the case, and told her the case of her daughter. When St. Mary had heard her story, she gave her a little bit of the water which she had washed the body of her son Jesus, and bade her pour it upon the body of her daughter. Likewise, she gave her one of the swaddling clothes of the Lord Jesus, and said, Take the swaddling cloth, and shew it upon thine enemy as often as thou seest it. And she sent them away in peace. After they had left that city and returned home, and she had come in, which Satan was wont to seize her, in the same moment this cursed spirit appeared to her in the shape of a huge dragon, and the girl, seeing him, was afraid. The mother said to her, Be not afraid, daughter. Let him alone till he come near thee. Then show him the swaddling cloth which the Lady Mary gave us, and we shall see the event. Satan then coming like a dreadful dragon, the body of the girl trembled for fear. But as soon as she had put the swaddling cloth upon her head and her eyes, she showed it to him. Presently there issued forth from the swaddling cloth flames, burning coals, and fell upon the dragon. Oh, how great a miracle was this, which was done as soon as the dragon saw the swaddling cloth of the Lord Jesus. Fire went forth and was scattered upon his head and eyes. So he cried out with a loud voice, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of Mary? Whither shall I flee from thee? So he drew back much affrighted and left the girl, after she was delivered from this trouble, and sang praises and thanks to God, and with her all who were present at the work at the working of the miracle. Chapter 14. Another woman likewise lived there, whose son was possessed by Satan. This boy, named Judas, as often as Satan seized him, was inclined to bite all that were present. Bite them. And if he found no one else near him, he would bite his own hands and other parts. But the mother of this miserable boy, hearing of St. Mary and her son Jesus, arose presently, and taking her son in her arms, brought him to the Lady Mary. In the meantime, James and Joses, that's Joses, had taken away the infant, the Lord Jesus, to play at a proper season with other children. And when they went forth, they sat down, and the Lord Jesus with them. Then Judas, who was possessed, came and sat down at the right hand of Jesus. When Satan was acting upon him as usual, he went about to bite the Lord Jesus, and because he could not do it, he struck Jesus on the right side, so that he cried. And in the same moment, Satan went out of the boy and ran away like a mad dog. This same boy who struck Jesus, and out of whom Satan went into the form of a dog, was Judas Iscariot. So, Jesus is a child, and he's meeting all these people who would become disciples, okay? Or actually apostles, right? Who would join him in ministry later on, right? Or who would continue to deny him, however their life choices went, okay? And so we see this early on, and this is not something that's mentioned between Genesis and Revelation. We are told and shown that he just appeared, and then when he started his ministry at the age of 30, right? His ministry started when he was birthed, but let's say 30, like the Bible tells us. Then we are told, traditionally taught, that he just said, come and I will make you fishers of men. No, these people knew who he was before he called out to them, before he became an adult, before he became mature physically. He knew them. Okay? Just listening. Okay. Oh, verse 10. And the same side on which Judas struck him, the Jews pierced with a spear. The mirroring effect. Yes, it's real. Okay. Chapter 15. And when the Lord Jesus was 7 years old, he was on a certain day with the other boys, his companions about the same age, who when they were at play, made clay into several shapes, namely asses, oxen, birds, and other figures, each boasting of his work and endeavoring to exceed the rest. Competition. Who can build the best? Then the Lord Jesus said to the boys, I will command these figures which I have made to walk. And immediately they moved, and when he commanded them to return, they returned. He was 7 years old, people. 7 years old. Verse 6, he had also made the figures of birds and of sparrows, which when he commanded to fly, did fly, and when he commanded to stand still, did stand still, and if he gave them meat and drink, they did eat and drink. Again, they're out playing in the sandbox, and they created sand sculptures, let's say, dirt sculptures, but they were made alive. Verse 7, when at length the boys went away and related these things to their parents, their father said to them, take heed, children, for the future of his company, for he is a sorcerer. Shun and avoid him, and from henceforth never play with him. So this is how people treat tarot readers today. This is how people treat earth angels today. This is how people treat healers today. This is how people treat empaths today. This is how people treat earth angels today, because they see us as sorcerers and evildoers and witchcraft workers, right? That's what the unhealed sleep individual does. That's how they see us. But in fact, we are the miracle workers and sent here to raise the vibration of the earth. Okay? And where are we at here? Okay. Verse 8 of chapter 15. On a certain day also, when Jesus was playing with the boys and running about, he passed by a dyer's shop, whose name was Salem. Okay. And there were in his shop many pieces of cloth belonging to the people of the city, which they designed to dye of several colors. So like tie-dye, right? Then the Lord Jesus, going into the dyer's shop, took all the clothes and threw them into the furnace. Then when Salem came home and saw that the cloth spoiled, he began to make a great noise and to chide the Lord Jesus, saying, what hast thou done to me, thou son of Mary? Thou hast injured both me and my neighbors. They all desire their cloths of proper color, but thou hast come and spoiled them all. The Lord Jesus replied, I will change the color of every cloth to what color thou desirest. And then he presently began to take the cloths out of the furnace, and they were dyed of the colors of those same colors which the dyer desired. And when the Jews saw this surprising miracle, they praised God. Let's see. All right. So we will go ahead and stop there. Chapters 11 through 15. Thank you so much again for tuning in. This is the first book of the Gospel of the Infancy of Jesus Christ. This is The Encourager. My name is Nehru, and as always, be encouraged.